boys and girls, it's Ron Bass with another edition of the Ron Bass Show. Your source for inspiration, encouragement, a little bit of craziness sometimes. Hey, guess what? We got a guest host today. Not a guest host.
I didn't
guest
see
star.
there.
Yeah, yeah. So this is Terry Rucker. Terry's a good friend of mine.
Not related to Darius?
No.
Yes.
I wish he was.
I am.
You are?
I am.
For real?
We're in the same family tree.
I was just kidding.
Right, free tickets back to Terry's going to talk a lot today with us about he's a YouTuber, but I'm going to let him explain what he does here in just a little bit, and then of course Brett Atterbury, our marketing consultant, our producer. And just before we get into this discussion with Terry, I want to talk about something I've been thinking about. The top 4. Terry and I were talking about this a while ago before we went on air. I guess we're not live, but still you can say we're going.
We are alive.
We are alive. We are alive.
Yeah.
Live and cooking.
That's right.
We're live?
I'm cooking.
Yeah.
And,
No, we're not.
No, we're not live.
We're
alive.
We are alive.
And cooking.
Yeah, cooking.
Let them cook.
My mother had the best saying. She would say, "Honey, you're cooking with gas."
Oh.
That's like, because back in the day they didn't have electricity.
Yeah.
It was all like, I mean, they had. So you're cooking with gas. In other words, you didn't. They had. How does that work?
I think it's
They
they're
didn't-
cooking with grease.
They cook with grease. Yeah, but that was her expression to suggest that you did good. Cooking
Yeah.
with gas, because they didn't have gas. They just had
Right.
like cooking oil.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's
There you
the-
go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honey, you're cooking with gas. I mean, you
Yeah.
know, I'd say, "Hi, guess what happened today, Mom?" And she'd say, "You're cooking with gas." Old saying.
Old saying.
Yeah. So the top 4. It's a very important discussion. This is what you guys ought to be thinking about every single day, and you ought to write this down, and you ought to just keep some notes. This is what I use every day. It's sort of my guideline, how I live my life every single day. Categories: health. You don't have health, what good is anything? Right?
Right.
Fitness. That's the way you're going to get to good health. Fitness, nutrition, but it all kind of goes in the same category. Health, fitness. You got to work out, guys. I don't care who you are, where you're at, if you're old, you're young, you're fat, you're skinny, it doesn't matter. You're crippled, you gotta find a way to exercise, something, crawl, walk, do jiu-jitsu. We're at our dojo where we do our podcast every day. Go to the gym, walk outside, skateboard, I don't care, bicycle, something. The guy at the gym stopped me today and he goes, "You know, my dad's 77 and he rides his bike every day." And I said, "Man, that's what's up. 77
Yeah.
on his bike every day." Schwarzenegger's 78, he just turned 78. Still lifting weights every day. Oh, Schwarzenegger.
There he is.
There he is. Personal development. Really and truthfully, this is like the number one thing, because if you're not improving yourself as a human being, really and truthfully, everything else isn't going to work well, because everything that you do, everything that you are is what emulates from you. If you're okay, you're probably going to do okay in life. If you're not a good person, if you're not stable and settled and feel good about yourself, it's going to be really hard to have a successful life. It just is. So that's why we do these podcasts, guys, so that we can pass along some good information to you. Even if it's just one little nugget that you get out of each one of these podcasts, it's worth it, because you never know what's going to trip your trigger. Like in my life, all these years I've been around, I've learned so much from so many different experiences and people, and I haven't remembered all of it, but what I have remembered has been super helpful. I was talking to my black belt, Luis, earlier today on the phone, and I said, "You know, you've taught me so much in the 10 years that I've known you, or about 10 years. I can't remember everything you taught me, but I can remember a lot of what you taught me, and I apply a lot of what you taught me. It doesn't mean that I shouldn't continue to learn and grow and do more and get more information from you, but it does suggest that at least as you go along in life, there's a benefit from being around the right people." And that's another thing we talk about. You become what you think about, and you become who you surround yourself with. Okay, personal development. Work on yourself, guys. Last podcast we did, we talked about self-worth and self-image and all that. So that's how you're going to get all of those things in order if you continue to work on yourself. And the last thought here, the last item of the 4 is to work on your business, work on your profession. If you have a business, man, you got to work on it every day. I've been in business 50 years, and I'm always reinventing myself. Today I had a meeting with Brent about some marketing issues, and I said, "You know, this is something I should have done a long time ago." but he helped me out and we got that going, and I'm confident it's going to make a big difference. So there's never a day that goes by you should not try to reinvent yourself, improve yourself. Make a list of things that aren't going well and come up with some answers and solutions to improve those things. You can't just sit around and go, everything's okay today. That's not going to work. Even if you're doing phenomenal, there's always time and ways to improve what you're doing. And if you're screwing up, which is often my case, I made a lot of bad choices, guys. If you're screwing up, you've got to find answers. You can't just be depressed and discouraged and say, oh, forget it. No, you have to always be working on ways to improve what is not right in your life. It's very, very important. Okay, back to Terry Rucker over here. Tell us a little bit about you, yourself, and I know you've had to overcome a lot.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into all the details, but if you want to get into them, I know the audience is more than happy to hear about it, because they're all about wanting to know that other people have struggled. So if they're struggling, that gives them a lot of hope. So tell us about your life, who you are, where you came from, what you've had to overcome, and then what your current way of making a living is in your profession.
Well, my name is Terry. I have a YouTube channel called The Terry Stop and one called A New Citizen. And they are mostly focused on law enforcement accountability. They are...
When you say accountability, what do you mean?
So I'm a First Amendment auditor and a cop watcher, and I go into... I will follow the police, or I will go to police stops, and I will record the police to make sure that they are doing what they are supposed to be doing.
When you see you see a cop on the road pulling somebody over, you mean you'll walk up to that situation?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, I will go to the situation. I try to stay as respectful as I can, but they only allow so much respect.
What do you mean by that?
Well, because they're trained to treat every citizen as a threat.
As a threat.
Right? So even though I'm just there recording, making sure nothing goes crazy, because this could help for the police or it could help for the citizen, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But with the camera there, people act funny, right? And the police, because they think everybody's a threat, if I show up with a camera, they see me as a threat.
They don't like that.
They don't like that.
But it's legal for you to do that, isn't it?
It's legal. It's my First Amendment right under freedom of speech and freedom of the press. Because technically, I'm a journalist. I'm gathering story for content.
Okay. But they don't like it.
They absolutely
Can they make you leave? They can't make you leave.
Well, they're the police. They can do whatever they want.
You can do whatever
They can do whatever they want in the world that we live in today.
But you could sue them.
Well, that is an option. That's how one holds them accountable. You see what I'm saying?
So you go to court.
So I go to court.
And then what happens?
Well, it depends, right? I'm the type of guy that has a tendency to not always follow through.
Oh.
Right? However, most of the time, with a lot of my charges that stem from that type of activity, have been dropped, right? Like I go to court one time, and then they end up dropping them. I never hear anything about it again.
That's it.
And that's the end of it. Sometimes they decide they want to continue to press the
Do
issue.
you have a reputation with the police in your hometown for this sort of thing?
Oh, I do now.
For sure.
For sure. I've made the news several times.
Really?
As a result of this activity.
I would suspect the public's on your side, though.
Well, here's the thing. Some folks don't believe that the police can do anything wrong.
That's interesting.
So there's nothing like with just what was her name, Sonia Massey?
Yeah.
That was just shot in the face.
Yeah.
There's still people defending that officer.
Well, you're always going to have different opinions for sure, but on the whole, I would think most people would be on your side compared to the people that are not.
Well, again, it's
50-50?
relative. It's really relative because there are some situations where there's people that will base it off of the situation itself, right? And there's some people who think that what I do is a threat to security, threat to safety. It's just to annoy the police. I'm looking for a fight. I just want to try to win the black people lottery, as they call it, right? Where the police beat you up and you get a bunch of money. You know,
like the Rodney King thing.
Yeah. And
Can we just all get along?
Can we all just get along? And that's what I would like to see. But the way the culture of law enforcement affects the minds of these officers, a lot of the time causes them to believe that they are superior and they can't be held accountable. That's why you have things like qualified immunity, right? And if people like me don't follow through, right? Then they're
going to get away with murder.
Then they're going to continue to get away. But there are people that do.
I can
follow
see where it's a double-edged sword, though. I can see where, it's going to be controversial.
Yeah, but I'm currently right now. So let's see. I guess it was in March. The police had come out to my house. I have no idea why they were out there. They not as soon as they were out there, I come around the house. And I got a video for it also. You can see that on my YouTube channel. I come around and I tell the police, I don't answer questions, get the fuck off my property. Right? And then I go back around the house. That should have been the end of it.
Yeah.
It was not. Well, my wife, she's coming in the house from the backyard and she sees that the door's open and there's a cop there. And so she comes outside and she's like, can I help you? And he was like, yeah, we got a call about this Jeep running over here. And she was like, yeah, that's my Jeep. I'm working on it. Sorry about that. He was like, oh, all right. And then I come out and I tell her, I was like, listen, I still run this house. You need to get back in the house. So she's like, all right. So she goes back in the house because one thing at my house, because this is what I do, right, is we know to avoid the police because they are dangerous. They run around with guns. They shoot people. There were over 1,200 people killed by police last year.
1,200? I didn't know that.
Right? So they're dangerous. And I know they're dangerous, and I know they don't like me, right? That's why I said what I said when I first came out.
Yeah. So your life's in danger, technically.
Yeah, so as soon as, she's headed back in the house, the officer grabs me, and next thing you know, I'm being arrested.
You're being arrested for?
Resisting arrest.
Resisting arrest.
Right. So that whole case, and you can see the whole thing, I ended up having a PTSD moment right after he arrested me and everything, right? And then he handed me off to his partner, and they're taking me down there. The partner kept doing something with my arm, and then I don't remember anything right after that.
No.
Nope. I don't remember any. No, I didn't. No, I got it on video.
You just don't remember.
Because I got the body cam footage.
You don't remember?
I don't remember it, right?
Wow.
But as I'm watching it, I'm on the ground screaming that he's hitting me. He is clearly not hitting me. Right?
But you're saying that he is.
But I'm saying that he is, right? And I don't remember any of that. I don't remember any of that part. But then after everything had calmed down, I ended up sitting up and I still don't know why the police were there.
Well, apparently one of the neighbors was complaining about something, probably. I'm guessing.
So they
responded.
Right. So what ends up happening next, right? After I end up going to jail, they booked me to release me, right? I end up filing complaint, right? I filed a complaint. They said there wasn't nothing wrong. I appealed the complaint. This is with the police department.
Yeah.
I appealed it. The chief said, no, I don't see no wrongdoing, right?
They dropped it.
Well, no, I appealed that too.
Oh, you appealed that too?
Because in here we have what's known as a civilian review board, right? So after you go through the police department complaint process, there's a civilian review board that's connected to the city.
Okay.
You'll never guess who's in charge of that.
Who?
The chief of police. So the same guy that saw the last one, but this one also has a few other people on there. And I also have a case for resisting arrest on that. So I went in for the resisting arrest. I went to court on that, and they said, "What do you want to do?" I was like, "Well, we're going to trial, right?" And they're like, "All right." They ended up setting a trial date. That trial date was for 2 weeks ago. Right? A week before that trial date, they moved it to January 2nd.
Interesting.
And then, now mind you, at this time, now my complaint has made it to the Civilian Review Board. So now I have a meeting with them September 3rd. Right?
Okay.
So this is me trying to follow through on all of this. And I've got the body cam footage of that. My mom just had hands put on her by the Springfield Police Department not too long ago. And I got to find.
So what do you think the moral of the story is here? What's the bottom line with what's going on? I mean, there's if you condense it down, it sounds to me like your role in this process is to prove the point that no matter how people may think of the police, that they're okay, that there's a lot of wrongdoing going on, and you're trying to expose that. That's a part of it. Is that fair to say?
I would say.
In the meantime, you're going through a lot yourself to get this word out. You're having to be exposed to a lot of heck.
Right.
A lot of stuff, huh?
Very much.
Is that fair to say?
Absolutely.
So I want to talk a little bit more about you. Like, you've had to overcome a lot in your life, right? You want to share with the audience what you've had to overcome and how you were able to overcome all these adversities and to get you to where you're at today.
Well, I don't know.
Because the audience, I think, really appreciates hearing success stories and how, they want to hear the truth about it's not so easy, but you did it, and how did you do it?
Right. Well,
you don't have to get into all the details.
No, that's all right. That's all right.
You see where I'm going with this?
For sure. It's very difficult to say, to call anything about my life outside of the fact that I'm still here a success story, right? But that by itself, I think, is the fact that I'm able to continue to be me regardless of all the societal pressures that I've had to go through, right? So like when I was raised mostly by my mother. So she was a single mother. It was me, my mother, and my brother, right? And I wrote a poem called My Mother, Brother, and I, right? It's in my book, American Criminal, Poetry of a Man.
Okay.
Plug it, yeah. So we grew up poor. My mom, she used to clean hotel rooms.
Okay.
We moved around a lot. I went to 35 different schools by
35?
By the time I was in 10th grade.
Holy moly.
So needless to say, I did not graduate high school. But when I dropped out at 16, I went and got my GED and started college. So technically I graduated ahead of time.
That's a lot to overcome by itself. 35 schools?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right after I got my GED and started college and stuff, I had a girlfriend, and she lived with me, and I had my own place, and it was me and a girl, and wasn't very responsible, so stayed home and with her all the time, which led me down this interesting path of drugs and crime and
drugs and crime.
I tried to maneuver myself, just mostly trying to figure myself out, but not really knowing
Well, with
anything.
an upbringing like that, it's not surprising that you went through all of those. You made some bad decisions.
Oh man, some of the worst.
Yeah, I can see why though.
I started smoking crack at like 15.
Okay.
Right.
I can see that.
I did meth for the first time at 16. I committed a robbery when I was 18.
I assume that was to support the drug habit.
No.
It wasn't.
No, it wasn't. It was to pay rent.
Okay, it was because you needed money to live.
Well, here's the thing. I was living with my mom, and we did need money to live, and that's why I did it initially. But I was drunk at the time.
Okay.
I went over the
Do you think a
people
lot
I
of
was
crimes?
hanging
You think a
around.
lot of crimes are committed when people are high or drunk versus not? Do you think most of the crimes are committed when people are high? You don't think so?
No, because most of the crimes are done by not your average regular person, right? I think most drug addicts commit crimes, but crime is such a wide. Rich people commit crimes.
Yes,
right?
but different kind of crimes.
But they're crimes.
They're crimes.
And not
when I was taking pills, I thought I'm a sophisticated pill taker because I'm a business guy, but I'm still a drug addict.
right.
But people want to color it, to their favor. So
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and I think for me in my journey, trying to understand that type of idea, right? That concept of what is a crime, right? What is right?
You were rationalizing everything. It sounds like
Trying to understand
trying to understand or rationalize your behavior. So you went through all this. You got in a lot of trouble.
Yep, I went to prison for 7 years.
7 years. How old are you now?
I'm 39.
39. So all this was back in your 20s.
Yep.
So I'm trying to get at, what happened that got you to get on the right track? Was prison the reason that you got on the right track? Was that atmosphere, that experience?
It's hard to say exactly because so I had committed my robbery in 2003, right? January 2003. After that robbery, it was kind of a wake-up call for me, right? Because I didn't get arrested right away, right? I actually went out to Las Vegas to stay with my dad, and he hadn't really been in my life that much. I had been with him a couple times, and so I went out there to stay with him. That lasted all of a week. At the end of that week out there with him, he had come, there was a bunch of police happening in our gated community, because he was staying with this girl that lived in a gated community. There was a bunch of police everywhere. The chopper was out there and stuff, right? And I went outside to look, and they spotlighted me and stuff, right?
Wow,
I have no idea what's going on, right? I find out about 2 hours later, that was my dad they were chasing. They beat him up. They pulled him out the car, beat him up, broke his ribs, broke his arm, broke his leg, gave him a concussion, put him in the hospital.
Well, it sounds like your dad maybe was on a interesting track.
Himself, right?
Yeah.
So, but I don't know what it was about. I don't know. But now I'm here in Las Vegas with this woman I don't know.
And all this is going on.
So she ends
Wow.
up sending me back here to Missouri, and where I.
So you went to prison for 7 years.
This is before the prison.
Oh, this before,
Yeah.
but then you went to prison.
Well, not yet. I actually moved again, and I started to do better. I went and got a job. I started work. Yeah, I started working. I ended up becoming an assistant manager of a KFC. You know what I mean? At 18, I had a nice little trek going, and so about a
You were
year.
putting it all together.
Yeah, I thought I was.
Right.
Right. I mean, I was still
It sounds like
drinking
you
and
were.
partying, and you know, I'm 18, 19 years old, so things are doing okay and stuff, right? But that which was in the dark will always come to light. So that robbery, so a year after that robbery, one of the guys that I went and committed it with had got a conscience one day, went and told the police what had happened, and this was in Phelps County. So then they put out a warrant for my arrest.
I got you.
And they ended up catching me while I was getting my hair cut.
And that's how you wound up going to prison.
That's how I ended up going to
7
prison.
years.
And then I spent 7 years.
So what was that like, 7 years?
So
Learning experience or a horrible experience?
both.
Both.
It was all of that. It was everything. I've had some of the greatest times in there. I had some of the worst times in there.
A little bit of everything.
But one thing that I did appreciate about it is the fact that I was able to learn so much, because I spent most of my time in there studying philosophy, studying
So you
religion,
educated
studying. Oh yeah, I got correspondence courses through Ohio
Smart.
University, Missouri State
So
University.
when you got out, then what happened?
So when I got out, I had just did about 7 years in prison from being. So I'm basically out free now,
Yeah.
and I'm still like an 18-year-old kid because I haven't done anything.
Okay.
But I get me a job, and I was on parole, so I get me a job, and I start hanging around my family because that's all I know, and they happen to enjoy drugs and
So
things like that.
Back to drugs again.
And then the government also said that drugs were cool too, right? Because it was that K2, right? That didn't exist before I went to prison.
If I could just interject this,
For sure.
there's a law of psychology we talked about earlier. You become who you surround yourself with. So if you're hanging around people doing drugs,
Yep.
you're probably going to do. I mean, you're not 100%, but you're likely to do drugs.
The longer
And that's
you
what happened
stay,
again.
absolutely.
So how old were you then?
Let's see, I was 26.
26, 27. So then what happened?
Well, I was mostly just trying to survive. I was out playing with girls all over the city. I was just being a little man whore, and I did that for about a year until I met my wife.
And then you settled down, sort of.
No, not exactly. I was just trying to live, so I started my own business. Right, I had the first business that I started. Right, first I was working for other people, and I realized that wasn't working for me. I couldn't quite figure out why. Right, and I think it's something in my brain that just.
Well, it's
I'm not
okay to
wired
be. It's
that way.
okay to have your own business. I've been in
Well,
business
that's
my whole
cool for
life.
you to recognize that too and figure it out, and try a different path.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
There's an old saying, I would rather try and fail as do nothing than succeed. So for the audience,
yeah.
anybody that wants to go in business and try your own thing, go for it. It's not like if you fail, you fail, but at least you gave it a shot.
Right. And I'm the type that when I go to try to do something new, I just kind of do it. So the first business I started was called Service Mart Masters. And it basically does everything that your business does, the same day service,
Same day
right?
service.
Like, because my idea was if I can I wanted to be the Walmart of services.
Okay.
Right, so if I could because I had people who were like registered nurses that take care of old people, like had a moving company. I did lawn care, landscaping, HVAC. You know what I mean? And if I knew somebody with a skill that could do something, I'd be like, hey, I'll just get you some business. And
So what happened with that?
well, it didn't work out very well.
Okay.
I mean, it worked out well enough to last a couple years or whatever, but it was too broad. So I slowly started to bring it in and narrow my focus down to creating a new business called the Lawn Service. But you'll never guess what we do.
What do you do?
We mow lawns.
So isn't that what
It's a
you're
good
doing
name.
now?
Yeah, you like it?
Isn't that what you do now?
That is one of the things that I do, but without any.
I just want to bring it up to current because we've only got so much time on our podcast.
yeah.
That's all right. That's all right. And I've got a few people I have to respond to that had some comments from the last podcast. So I guess what I'm trying to get at here is that I always like to talk to people that have been through a lot and then they overcame it, and I like the audience to hear how you overcame it. So one last question, then I got to get to a few other things here. What was the most determining factor of allowing you to get your life? I mean, you're obviously not a drug addict now. You're obviously not doing crime now. So what got you to the point where you were able to get all that together and come to this point?
Well,
what was the determining factor?
The determining factor. Well, first I can't not say that that's not accurate, because technically I still do crime.
Well, but not in the sense that we were talking about.
Right, but the reason I mention that is because it's important, right? Is because we as people,
well, we're always going to do something wrong.
Right. Well,
we break the law.
We get power in how we identify ourselves, right? So if I say I am rich, I am powerful, right? I am a criminal. That is a part of who I am. Right?
You're saying that you're doing criminal activity. You're not doing criminal activity now.
Right. Well, I'm currently going to court for resisting arrest.
Yeah, but that's unfounded. That's not right. You're not out robbing places and doing crazy things like you used to.
Right. No,
that's what I'm trying to get at.
Right.
What caused you to change your mindset about that, and to fly straight, so to speak?
Right.
Because I want the audience to understand, what it's going to take to get right.
Understanding myself, who I am.
Okay, now we're getting somewhere.
Right. Understand, because I've gone through a lot. I've done a lot.
You're 39 years old. You've been through a lot.
Yeah, I mean,
you finally had to convince yourself and realize, hey, that ain't cutting it.
Right. Well, and knowing that I'm capable of doing those things.
Thank you, that you have this talent and you're not using it in the right kind of way.
Right.
Fair enough. And also, I bet it's because you have children. You set the right example for the kid, right or wrong.
Huge.
I met your daughter, beautiful kid.
She was a major.
So you guys see where I'm going with this? Trying to bring a full circle here.
Right.
Okay. Don't ever give up on yourself, I think, is where I'm kind of going with this.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Right. Man, I appreciate you coming in today and talking with us and giving us a fresh perspective on failure and then overcoming that to success. Brett, you're going to say something?
No,
I see that in your face.
I tell you, I applaud you and have tons of respect for you being able to survive that journey and finally get on the path that you feel like is positive, that can now, I mean, you still have a lot of life left to make an impact on other people's lives, to impact your family, set an example. It's good, we're only on this earth, so many
time.
Yeah.
So much, so you gotta roll. And then whenever I know, and this is what I have today is not as
what's the breaking news?
As well. Yeah, but it's hard to go from that. That was heavy stuff.
That's a great story.
Heavy stuff.
I got more. I could talk about human trafficking and gang-related activity.
We'll do that maybe another time.
Just real quick,
for sure.
I bet nobody knew this. What today National Day is?
What is it?
It's National Sea Serpent Day. Yeah,
Serpent.
I bet you didn't know that.
That's crazy.
Not that you care or even need to know about it.
Who comes up with all these things?
All these companies that have create a national.
Is this like a law, like where they have to go to Congress or a state legislature and create this?
They just make a marketing campaign on Facebook.
Yeah, that's making up. And then breaking news: I found out that there's a dog making a lot of money out there.
A dog?
Yeah.
How's that?
Well, have you been watching the Olympics?
Yes.
Snoop Dogg, they said, made
Snoop Dogg. $500,000 a day.
$500,000 a day.
Sorry, I didn't mean to pop your bubble there.
No, I just wanted to talk about
$500,000 a day. This guy's on a trip, man.
Yeah.
Him and Martha Stewart hanging out together, doing their thing.
Yeah, okay. That's all I got.
Like he needs the money anyway, right?
That's right.
Speaking of a guy that overcame, look what he went. He was in prison. He did this, he did that, and now he's like a gazillionaire and a business guy. But that just proves.
He didn't go to prison.
Oh yeah, Snoop Dogg was in prison.
Snoop Dogg ain't got no felonies.
Trust me, Snoop Dogg was in prison. Yeah, you read about it. Okay, couple things. We'll get out of here. One of our subscribers said, "Ron, is the world really this cruel?" Yes, the world is really this cruel. I commented I sent an email or a text a message to that person. Yes, the world is that cruel. You have to pull yourself up by your bootstraps every single day, guys. And look, this is just one tool. This podcast is one tool for you to try to keep yourself on track. There's many tools. We talk about it: counseling, reading, hanging out with the right people, exercise, getting involved in martial arts. Just all those things matter. And so, yes, the world's that cruel. So you got your work cut out for you to try to keep yourself on track every day. It's not easy. Guess what? It's not supposed to be easy. Okay, another person, one of our subscribers, sent me a message about that they feel very discouraged. They can't get a job, and they want to know how to stay motivated. Well, back to what I just said, it's not going to be easy. You just have to keep going and going and going and going and going. Maybe it takes 100 interviews. I don't know. Probably not. But you're going to have to just keep going to interviews, keep looking, keep trying. You'll get a job eventually if you don't give up. But keeping yourself motivated in the meantime, yeah, it's not easy. Listen to motivational tapes. Go to temple. Go to the synagogue. Go to the church. Hang around positive people. Read some motivational direct books. There's a really good book out from years ago called How to Win Friends and Influence People. Remember that book?
Yeah.
That was by Dale Carnegie. If you're ever in New York City, there's the Carnegie Hall in Manhattan, which I went to one time. It was crazy. That was like the original Madison Square Gardens. I don't know how many people it held, but probably 10% of what Madison Square Garden holds. But at any rate, you've got to be around positive people. That's very, very important. And even then, is it going to be easy? No, it's not going to be easy. But that's okay. Life's not supposed to be easy. People have this misconception that everything's going to be wonderful every day. It doesn't work like that. You have to be very, very strong-minded and very, very determined to get through this life, and let alone to be successful. That's the reason I go to the gym every day. It gives me a lot of extra emotional strength to handle uncomfortableness. You have to learn to be comfortable with uncomfortableness. It's just the way it is, guys. I wish it wasn't that way, but that's just the way it is. Okay. Well, another person, we're probably out of time. I'll just have to say this for the next time.
Okay,
Any closing?
you can stretch it.
Can we?
Need to stretch it. Yes.
All right. Another person was saying to me that being alone, they just feel very unwanted, and they would like to find somebody that makes them feel like they're worth something. I think the bottom line is you have to have faith in yourself. You have to learn to have strong self-worth and be comfortable in your own skin. It's nice to have a companion or a friend or a wife or a husband or a boyfriend or a girlfriend or whatever, but you know what? You can't go looking for that and keep chasing that, because most of the time that's not going to work out. You have to find happiness within yourself, guys, first, and then after you've accomplished that, then it's easier to have a relationship with somebody.
Yeah, because if you can't sit with yourself for 10 minutes, how are you going to expect somebody else to sit
It
with
ain't
you?
going to happen. It's not going to be good, is it?
Good point.
Well, meetings. Okay. That's probably about it for today, I think. You guys got any closing thoughts?
Do you have that Facebook I sent you through Messenger on your phone?
Oh, that's right. That's really cool.
That's
You want to close it
perfect.
out with that?
Yeah, it's perfect for today.
Okay.
I was trying to find it here and I couldn't find it.
All right. This is my producer. Mr. Producer sent me this the other day. And it's a really cool thing here, if I can find it. Can't find the damn thing.
We may have to save it
Oh,
for
wait a
next
minute,
week.
wait a minute, wait a minute,
Oh.
wait a minute, wait a minute. No, that's not the one. Let's see if I can find it here. I think I'm on the wrong chat group. Here we go. There you go. Here we go. The HR Diary. Laziness kills ambition. Anger kills wisdom. Fear kills dreams. Ego kills growth. Jealousy kills peace. Doubt kills confidence. And when you turn it around, confidence kills doubt. Peace kills jealousy. Growth kills ego. Dreams kills fear. Wisdom kills anger. Ambition kills laziness. It's powerful.
That is powerful.
I like that.
Good stuff.
Any closing thoughts, Terry?
Well, I appreciate you guys having me
Yeah,
on.
man.
This has been real fun.
And tell us your YouTube channel again so they can check it out.
The Terry stop is one of them, and a new citizen, which is the new one that I'm starting to build up. That's going to be more focused on things like this and building up and growth. And
The Terry stop, though. That's the first one.
the Terry stop, yeah.
Awesome.
Appreciate you joining us.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts?
No, glad
Any
you're here,
closing
man.
thoughts?
Pardon me.
Any last words of wisdom?
Oh, you're the guy with the pearls of wisdom
Oh, well, thank
in
you.
this show, so I can't take that spotlight. Sorry.
If I say, cast not pearls before swine, is that a cop joke or?
All right, guys, we're going to close it out with this. Just remember, if you don't give up, and you can never, ever even consider that, ever, 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 ever give up, ever, 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 don't ever, ever, ever give up, give in. Don't do that. Eventually, the stars are going to line up. So, until that happens, just remember, always stay positive.